Settings. Perfect. Stereo. Alrighty. Just give me 1 second, guys, to kind of get situated here. Sorry that I was kind of late by a couple minutes, but not too bad. But nevertheless, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, what is up, guys? It's your boy Bernie here, giving you yet another NBA live stream. Here to talk about the latest NBA news and rumors, and also kind of like what's going on around the league. Sorry, as I'm fixing my hair, looking like a hot mess right now, but the hair does look a lot better than it did earlier when I made my video kind of announcing that I would be moving this stream on. But I want to thank you again for joining us, whether you're joining us live stream or whether you're joining us after the fact. We're kind of here to talk some NBA rumors. I know that this is kind of a NFL Sunday where everybody kind of enjoys their NFL news and rumors and kind of talks about the NFL stuff. I'll have to check my fantasy football team pretty frequently just to see where I'm at in that situation. But I'm here and happy to talk NBA because that is my one true love and passion is basketball. And what better way to kind of start it off by talking some free agency rumors and maybe just kind of talking some NBA stuff in general. But kind of the title of this video is I kind of chew gum. It's kind of like my coping mechanism. But let's talk about the latest news that's coming out of the NBA, and that is, of course, Bogdanovic. We know that Bogdanovic is kind of rumored to be, there was the whole talk of him coming to the Milwaukee Bucks. Giannis and that team was going to look good. I kind of thought of it as like, okay, you brought in Bogdanovic in case Giannis leaves, your team isn't completely trashed. But now that Bogdanovic and the Bucks are now kind of in this sort of tampering situation where they may have tampered, they may have not. We're going to see what's going to go on with that situation. It'd be interesting to see if the Bucks do get penalized for this. And also to kind of talk more about this Boston Celtics news as well, because I think in my video that I did yesterday about Gordon Hayward, I really didn't get out my frustration that I thought I was going to get out. But you know what? It is what it is at this point. You got a couple people in the chat right now. We'll see how it goes on from here on out. Hello to everyone that's in the chat. Let me just make sure that my friend does not want to get on live stream. And while we see if he wants to get on or not, the most interesting rumor is that now Bogdanovic is rumored to be going to the Atlanta Hawks. That's kind of like the lead front runner. That's kind of the story that we're seeing. So the tampering charges that I saw was that they must have like done a deal before free agency, and if that happens, usually they penalize the teams. So the Milwaukee Bucks are going to be probably penalized with a pick or something like that, fined maybe. But if I was the Milwaukee Bucks, I would have just taken the fine and just been okay with it. Because I think at the end of the day, as long as you get the player that you want, it doesn't matter what the fine is. Like, it can be a first-round pick. It can be whatever it is. But as long as you get the player that you want, I don't understand what the big deal is of just getting him and just apologizing later. Because now the Bucks are kind of stuck with no Bogdanovic, and now that Bogdanovic is a free agent and restricted free agent, the Kings have a chance to match it, but we'll see. I think Bogdanovic on the Hawks is actually making them a great contending team. I think they'll actually move them to like the 5th or 6th seed in the Eastern Conference just because I think the top 4 are kind of set at this point. But depending on how Bogdanovic does with that team, you have Rondo there now. You have a couple players there that you can add. Like, I think this Atlanta Hawks free agency was actually a big win for them. I mean, let's kind of look at the Atlanta Hawks roster really quick. And kind of see what free agents they picked up. Hopefully it adds everybody. No, it does not. Let's see kind of like what their... Well, tell me their roster. Let's just kind of look up free agency. And even now, an hour ago, we see that Bogdanovic signs a 4-year, $72 million offer.
And with that, we say hello and welcome to a fresh hour.
Get rid of, I hate that ad blocker doesn't work, but let's kind of pause the video so we're not listening to Verizon ads. So apparently Bogdanovic is rumored and is going to be going to the Atlanta Hawks on a 4-year, $72 million deal with the Hawks, which is a great chance. And I think that if I'm the Kings, I probably just let him go. But if the Kings are petty, they'll probably just keep him. But This is kind of late breaking news, everybody. Bogdanovic has officially signed with the Atlanta Hawks. Obviously, like we said, the Kings have a chance to match it. But I think that's just too much money for the Kings in a rebuild project that they're going for. They already signed a couple players. They got a couple guys in the... I can't remember who they got as their draft pick. But I think they're going to be going with him instead of Bogdanovic. Kings draft pick. The Halliburton, I forgot. It was Halliburton. So I think because they got Halliburton, I think that they're just going to decide, you know what? We're not even going to try and get Bogdanovic. But officially, Bogdanovic signs a 4-year, $72 million offer sheet with the Hawks, and that's per the reports. Also going to have Danilo Gallinari there, Rajon Rondo, Chris Dunn. Like, this team is looking solid, and I think that they could make a really big playoff push, especially if Bogdanovic doesn't get matched by the Kings. Like I said, if Bogdanovic goes to this team, it's an instant 6th, 5th, or 6th seed in the Eastern Conference. I'm sorry. The other teams have to kind of take a step back on this because you honestly don't get this type of player anywhere. And the fact that Bogdanovic signs, I love his game. I think he's actually a really great player, a bucket getter, and also can play defense, long arms. I think that he's actually a really good player. I like his ability to score the rock. His three-point shot is also kind of a shot that I love to see. And so we'll see what happens. Another kind of talking point that we might talk about is just Mitchell signing a max extension, seeing how that's going to turn out for the Utah Jazz, what they can do to add pieces for Donovan Mitchell, to bolster that Utah Jazz roster. But at the end of the day, this is very exciting news for the Atlanta Hawks, and this is actually a great thing to see. Because we know that the Atlanta Hawks right now are I feel like they are the Warriors of the East at this point, just because I think that they have such a young roster. They're growing with them, and now they're adding their veteran or kind of like their second or third star option in Bogdanovic. It's going to be interesting to see like what happens with John Collins, what's going to be happening with, I want to say I don't know if they picked up the center. I don't know if they're going to see what happens there. But I think DeAndre Hunter and Cam Reddish minutes are also going to be, their minutes are going to be reduced, but they're going to be some great players to come off the bench. I think this is a tremendous move by the Atlanta Hawks, and I really am looking forward to watching them I look forward to watching their games. I mean, if the rumors is true that they've signed this offer sheet and the Kings don't match, this is the biggest W in the free agency. But let's see here really quick. So far, Sean, I've talked about just Bogdanovic at this point, just because I think this just came out like an hour ago. And so Bogdanovic has just signed to the Atlanta Hawks. So that's actually a really good move so far for the Atlanta Hawks. I think they're so far the biggest winners in my opinion as it comes to free agency. But we can talk about other stuff as well. Sean, I don't know if you want to hop on the Discord and kind of talk some NBA, or if you're chilling on the stream, that's fine too. That's what I meant by joining me. So if you want to join me on the Discord, that's fine as well. But like I said, I think this is kind of a big W so far for the Atlanta Hawks. Bogdanovic going to the Atlanta Hawks. Like we said, the caveat is, of course, the Kings can match that offer. So it's a wait and see for the Sacramento Kings. But again, it is very interesting to see that that they are doing some really good things there in Atlanta. But let's kind of move on to talking some other news as well. Kind of looking to see what other NBA rumors are out there. Looks like Marc Gasol might be going to the LA Lakers, which is actually a pretty good solid pickup. I mean, we just kind of have to talk about the LA Lakers at this point. They got Dennis Schroeder, they got Wesley Matthews, and now they're going to be adding Marc Gasol, who's a great centerpiece. They're getting rid of Dwight Howard, JaVale McGee. I'm not sure what's going on with him. Looks like they're going to be exploring trading options for JaVale McGee. Now, I think if you get rid of JaVale McGee, you add a Marc Gasol, you add these other centers and Martin Harrell. This Laker team is already a step ahead of everybody at this point. It's just taking it to a different level right now. So we'll see what happens from here on out. Like I said, Marc Gasol would add a huge boost to them. Also getting Trez Harrell, kind of your energy, your hustle guy, your Rodman type of player to the LA Lakers. I mean, that's just kind of insane that he was able to sign there for a 2-year, $19 million contract with a player option, I believe, or a team option. I can't remember what it is, but still a great source. We see that the Pelicans are also intending on keeping Eric Bledsoe. So could this mean that Lonzo Ball gets traded? We'll see what happens there. Serge Ibaka, I think, is officially going to the Nets, if I'm not mistaken. I think that they're going to try and form the Warriors 2.0. Or sorry, not the Thunder 2.0, which I'm not really excited about at all. But yeah, these Lakers signings ain't fair, Sean. I mean, it's just kind of one of those things where they seem to keep getting better and better players through here on out. Like, I think if they would have kept the same roster, it would have been a tough shake. I mean, you still have LeBron James, so you're obviously going to win a lot of games no matter what, but it's still a tough situation when you have to deal with all the stuff that the Lakers have, and then it's just kind of one of those things where I'm interested to see what happens. But we'll eventually find out how these Lakers can play with these other guys. Marc Gasol did a tremendous job when he won his championship in Toronto. Now he's going to move to LA, a guy that can defend and also can shoot the 3-point shot. I mean, this is already looking like a dangerous team, and I'm going to be curious to know and figure out from you guys like what you make of this move. I think it's going to be a good one. And we'll talk about the Gordon Hayward situation a little bit later, to kind of wait and let it marinate a little bit. I mean, I'm trying to see if there's any other sort of situation going here. Robert Covington looks like it's official now, so he's getting traded. Bol Bol's contract looks like it's going to be a 2-way. They're converting his 2-way contract into a standard NBA deal. So I'm interested to see how Bol Bol develops. I think he's going to be a great player in this league, just as long as he can stay healthy. That was kind of his big issue in Oregon when he went to Oregon, but we'll see there. I think looking at all the situations and everything that's kind of going on, I think that the biggest winners are obviously the LA Lakers, because they just bolster their roster even more. Even though I said the Atlanta Hawks are kind of the biggest winners too, you just can't deny that the Lakers have not made big moves, and they've made some really big moves from here on out. I mean, the Celtics are kind of in a situation, Sean. Well, we'll see what happens with them. I'm curious to see what we do, because I think if we can't secure another free agent or someone that's a superstar type of player, I think you have to fire Danny Ainge. He's obviously kind of the guy that's calling the shots there in Boston. I think that he's really scaring off, or he's really rubbing the players the wrong way, because I think that a lot of these players that are leaving for free, they're obviously doing this because I think there's a culture problem in Boston. I think they're gonna have to figure it out ASAP, because you don't want to lose Tatum, you don't want to lose Brown if those are kind of your guys for the future. So we'll kind of see from here on out what's going to be going on, but this is going to be one interesting situation. And before we talk about the Celtics, I do have to say shout out to Donovan Mitchell, who will be signing his 5-year, $195 million rookie extension. This is a great news for the Utah Jazz fans. So not left without a superstar. We know that Donovan Mitchell before was kind of on the trade block, or maybe not on the trade block, but there was trade rumors because he was not happy at Utah. We obviously know that him and Rudy Gobert kind of have their beef, but I think they've honestly kind of mended the fences, even though I don't think it's like they're not supposed, I don't think they're friendly, like they're best friends, but they're definitely friendly and they definitely can play with each other. But there's definitely some room for improvement. So we'll see what happens from here on out. One thing is that we have to look at really quick, guys, is kind of seeing what's going to be going on for the Celtics, man. Sean, you kind of nailed it on the head, because I think when it comes to it, what frustrates me the most about the Celtics is that they have yet to make a big move. Let's kind of look at some Celtics kind of rumors besides the Gordon Hayward situation. We'll talk about that. Hopefully, Tyrese, you are in here. If not, you can watch this video later in the live stream and kind of watch my rant on the Boston Celtics. But let's kind of look at them, see if there's any other rumors that we're seeing here from Boston. Doesn't look like it, in my opinion. We got Tristan Thompson, who I'm not necessarily a big fan of. I think that he can be a good player, get you a double-double, but definitely not something I would want to not something that I would want, in my opinion. I think that, Thompson, the problem with him is that he comes with the Kardashian drama, and to be honest with you, I think he's a fine player, but the Kardashian drama it spews toxicity. It gets people upset. It gets people frustrated because they don't want to be on camera. They don't want to focus on the Kardashian side of things. They want to be they just want to be players that kind of relax and just kind of not have to deal with that. Brad Stevens isn't that type of guy. But we'll see what happens from here on out. And then let's kind of check in a little bit. They need to trade a popular vet to attract. No one wants to play with these young. Yeah, I think they're gonna have to get some. They're gonna have to trade for something. But the problem is I don't know what they're gonna trade for. To be honest with you, it's gonna be an interesting situation. Kent Bazemore also going to the Supreme Gamer. You actually talked about it. Yep, Kent Bazemore going to the Warriors, I believe. That's actually a great pickup. I think that he's not necessarily gonna fit a some sort of scheme like. What's the word I'm looking for? He's not going to fit the Klay Thompson scheme, but I think he is going to be like a D-Lo in a sense where I think he's just kind of left. He's going to be quick. So I think that he's going to be a good player that they added, and I want to see how he grows and develops because I think that, he's already 31 years old. I think that he's a solid I would say a solid replacement for Klay Thompson. Definitely not Klay Thompson-esque, and I don't think you're going to get the same production out of Bazemore. But it's definitely a good pickup for the Warriors as they try to shore up their bench. They try to have some scoring off the bench because right now the roster looks a little weak at this point. But it's going to be an interesting situation to see who the Celtics, kind of going back to the Celtics route of things, who they're going to try and get. Like I said, it's kind of frustrating at this point to see that the Celtics aren't really making any moves at this point besides for like Avery Bradley, I believe. I mean, it's just kind of like he's a great player, but not something that we need. I think that Celtics have decided, guarantee Semele Ojeley's next season's deal. We've guaranteed Daniel Theis' salary. I mean, it's just like we've added players. The Celtics are currently looking for Paul Millsap. I mean, I just don't really like Derrick Rose. I don't think that he can necessarily be he'd definitely be a great player on the team, but I just think that for the type of ability that he has, he needs to have the ball on his hands, and I just don't think that Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown or Marcus Smart are willing to give up the rock at this point. So we'll see what happens, man. Like, I'm curious to know what the Celtics can do here. Like, I love Paul Millsap, but for the money that they're thinking about signing him for, I just don't think that that's a great fit, in my opinion. We lost Gordon Hayward to free agency. We'll talk about that a little bit later in the stream. Enes Kanter's also moving away, kind of going back to Portland. Aaron Baines could be landing back with us. I would love to see TJ Warren. I think that was also rumored, but they kind of view him as the cornerstone, so they won't be trading him. I think what's frustrating to me is that, like, I think as a Boston Celtics fan, we've kind of experienced the championship aspirations when we got Ray Allen and Kevin Garnett, and we saw what type of team they had. It was a great roster. They had some great role-playing players on that team, and then unfortunately, due to injury, due to how old they were, it just, it was enough for one championship, and that was it. I think that all these guys, including Doc Rivers, including Danny Ainge, including kind of the front office of the Boston Celtics, are still living off the past of that championship instead of, okay, how do we get better? How can we get better? And I think that, unfortunately, Danny Ainge is doing a terrible job at this moment. I think if we don't get a superstar out of all the draft picks that we got, out of everything that we've done here, then we have honestly wasted those draft picks. Even though we've gotten some great players, a championship is what we need. And I think that as of right now, we haven't gotten that championship. We're still kind of waiting for it. We're still kind of deciding, okay, what's the moves here? And unfortunately, Danny Ainge has not done his due diligence with this team. He hasn't done his due diligence with getting the right players in the right situations, and it's hurt us. It's hurt us tremendously because right now we've lost two superstars to the Nets, and we've lost him to Gordon Hayward. Kyrie Irving kind of led us on as Celtics fans, kind of saying, yeah, I'll sign the extension, but then ended up moving to Boston because a lot of us kind of questioned his leadership abilities. And I think that right now, Danny Ainge is to 120% blame for what's going on in Boston. He needs to make a move ASAP, whether you get rid of Brown, whether you get rid of some of these other players like Marcus Smart. Something has to happen, in my opinion, in order for us to even be remotely going to the finals this next year, because other teams are getting stronger. Like I said, I like the Atlanta Hawks, what they've been doing. There's a lot of moves that I love that these teams are doing out here. And unfortunately right now, we're just not living up to those same expectations that we once had and aspirations that we once had when we got Kevin Garnett, when we got Ray Allen. And right now, Danny Ainge is looking like a fool because I don't think that pickup that we had in the draft was necessarily the right option. Yes, he might be a great player down the line, but right now we need proven scorers. And in the NBA, it's all about veteran leadership. And if you don't have veteran leadership on your team, you're going to suffer, you're going to fail, and you're not going to do as well. I mean, that's kind of what helped Miami win their win to go to the finals, is because they had so much veteran experience that could actually, learn in these situations, like, okay, these are the right shots to take, these are not the right shots to take. And we saw how the young players like Duncan Robinson and Tyler Hero stepped up to the level of beating the Boston Celtics. Meanwhile, we just kind of struggled. And right now, there's players that we're looking to trade. Whether that's we're looking like we might get rid of Kemba Walker. I think that's probably a smart move. Although I think Kemba Walker is getting a bad shake in all this. But we definitely struggled right now, and it's kind of frustrating to watch our team play, and it just looks like the development of our team is just not there at this moment. So we'll see what happens. I think the Boston Celtics right now are in a world of hurt because we've gotten rid of, we didn't sign Gordon Hayward to a sign and trade. We didn't get anything out of it, and unfortunately, this is just kind of the move that we've done so far, and it's just frustrating. It's frustrating to see that the Boston Celtics have not really done a lot of things to ensure that we get a championship for this next couple months, or for this next year, or even these next 2 to 3 years. Jason Tatum's a young player, but when you have all these young players, eventually it's gonna fall on us to kind of step up and get some great players. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. I think that the Celtics need to do a much better job. I think the Celtics should be looking to get some veteran point guard leadership. I wouldn't say John Wall necessarily. I mean, I think Bradley Beal is someone that I really want. I don't care if we have to trade Jaylen Brown now, because I think Bradley Beal adds so much veteran leadership. I think he can bring a winning culture to us, even though he hasn't necessarily won himself. I think that he can just bring that culture to the Celtics, bring that hard-hitting edge factor that we need. I think, honestly, if this next year, if we fail, I think we're going to have to look at getting rid of Brad Stevens and Danny Ainge. Because right now, the fact that the Boston Celtics are not contending for a championship is mind-blowing and also baffling for how strong this franchise has been throughout its history. That, we expect championships. We expect to win. But I just think that right now it's frustrating to watch. And Jaylen, yeah, you're right. Jaylen Brown is too good, but I think that's the type of player you have to give up in order to get someone like a Bradley Beal or to get some of these veteran point guards. Maybe we might trade for James Harden. I wouldn't necessarily like that move as well, but I do think that we need a strong veteran point guard leadership, and I just don't think we're getting that anywhere right now because I think everybody's kind of secured in their situations. It's frustrating to watch. I mean, let's kind of look at some Boston Celtics news and look on Google and see if we can get anything. Whoops, not Google Drive. Just Google. Let's see. Let's see if there's any kind of rumors going on here. Ugh. See, this is what I don't want to see. I don't want to see this. I don't want to see the Kardashians on my thing. I mean, we signed Jeff Teague, which actually, to be fair, Jeff Teague is a great pickup for us. I like Jeff Teague. I think as a backup point guard for whatever point guard we get, he's actually going to do a really good. He's actually going to do a really good job. And let's kind of look at this article talking Boston Celtics. The argument in favor of Danny Ainge this offseason. I mean, let's look at this. By a guy named Andrew Delorio. I mean, look at this goon. He looks like a goon. How can you, as a Celtics fan, say that we have had a great... How can you say that as a Celtics fan we've had a great offseason? I don't think you can even kind of put a positive spin on what's going on. I think that right now, it's just kind of... It's not the moves that we need, and just the picks that we got. We need to trade those picks away, and we just didn't do it. It's really frustrating to watch, man. I don't want to scream. I don't want to yell because right now that's not really what's going to help the team. But at the same time, it's just really frustrating to see the players that we've picked up, not only in the draft, but in the free agent market. We need to get better players. We need to do a better job of getting the right players at the right time. And right now, we're just not doing that. We're kind of being bummish right now with the way that we're going after free agents. Losing Gordon Hayward for nothing, that's a huge L. I don't know how you can put a positive spin on it. Yeah, we don't want to pay. Okay, looks like it's an Amazon person. I was like, what the heck? Usually they drive the blue cars. Interesting. But anyway, kind of going on a tangent about Amazon right now. I just think it's frustrating as a Celtics fan to watch the way that we're going right now. It's honestly It's honestly disheartening. It's honestly frustrating to see that the Celtics at this moment can't muster up and can't produce a player to get us to the finals. I mean, Kemba Walker, I think, is just too small to play in a big game. We saw how Jimmy Butler exposed him, and I just think, like I said, it's frustrating to watch that our stuff that we've gotten in the free agents market and the draft is just absolutely sad. It's just kind of frustrating at this point. I mean, let's kind of look at this. NBA trade machine. Let's see if we can see if this trade even works. I don't think it will. Let's kind of look it up. So we get John Wall and we get Bradley Beal. Meanwhile, we get rid of Kemba Walker and we get rid of, I believe, Jaylen Brown. Where's Jaylen Brown at? Jaylen Brown. Try this trade. Looks like this trade does work, but ultimately it doesn't lead us to more victories. It makes the Wizards a little bit less worse, but it doesn't make us much better. But I do think that adding, maybe not John Wall, but I think the frustrating thing as a Celtics fan, like I said, is just no aspirations at all. Let's kind of look at what other teams have. I mean, Brooklyn, no. I mean, we could probably trade for some of Brooklyn's players, but I don't think we'd want one of those or any of those. I mean, Chicago, is there anybody? Like Zach LaVine, maybe I would try and get. Otto Porter Jr., no, not at all. Let's see, Detroit. Not really anybody in Detroit that I would want. Phoenix, no. Minnesota, like, here's my thing. I want Karl Anthony Towns. This is his final year in this contract, I believe. I don't know if he has an extension or not. What's your trade, Supreme Gamer? It is Kemba Walker. Okay, let me try this trade really quick. Boston. And I believe you said the Wizards, if I'm not mistaken. So you want me to get rid of Kemba Walker, Semi Ojeleye. Chris Paul, unfortunately, is going to be a Phoenix Sun, so I don't think he's going to move. I think he's set on trying to help Devin Booker develop and grow as a talent. Would love someone to help grow and develop Jason Tatum, because I mean, obviously Kobe did a tremendous job for him, but I think that he needs someone that can also help him pass the rock. I would love to see LeBron train him, man. I would love to see LeBron bring in this young kid and try and help him out. Aaron Naismith, I think that's what you said. Kemba Walker and Aaron Naismith for John Wall. Let's try John Wall. So it looks like this trade does work, but it gives the Celtics 7 less wins and gives the Wizards 5+ wins. Because I think if we look at John Wall and kind of like his efficiency and what he does, like I wish I could see kind of the full stats. I don't know if it can show me everything. I wish it could just show me like kind of whole stats. Like he didn't really play that much this year, I don't believe. Only 32 games. Kind of looking at this year, shot 44%, shot 30% from the three-pointer land. I mean, this year where he shot 37 was insane. Free throws about 69. Let's see the assist to turnover ratio, 2.3, still in the positive. Steal to turnover ratio, 0.4. Scoring efficiency, not too bad. I mean, it's just kind of one of those things where I don't know where the Celtics go, honestly. I don't know what the Celtics need to do in order to win. I think that we do need to trade for a star point guard or like some sort of veteran point guard. I mean, if we look at the teams, I mean, what's kind of teams that we would want to try and trade for? I mean, Kyle Lowry, I think that he's stuck in Toronto. He's not going to go there. Oklahoma City Thunder has too many young players. Portland, we could try and maybe trade for one of Portland's guards. I think Portland needs to start doing a reset on CJ and Dame because I don't think that combination is going to work. I mean, I would love to either bring Dame or CJ on. I think Dame actually would be a great player to pick up and bring to Boston. The Golden State Warriors, they're not trading anybody. The Clippers ain't trading anybody. The Lakers ain't trading anybody. Do we bring in Buddy Hield? He might be a good player for us, a great three-point shooter. Dallas Mavericks not trading anybody. Houston's looking to trade James Harden, but I don't think I want him. Memphis not trading anybody. They're too young. Lonzo Ball, could he be an answer for us at point guard? I mean, Lonzo could be not like, as much as I'm a Lonzo fan and I'm kind of a fan of the Ball brothers, I think I do like Lonzo Ball to the Celtics. I mean, let's kind of look at some trades right here really quick. Let's start over and see what we can make a trade for. So we go Boston and we go to the Pelicans, because the Pelicans are going to keep Eric Bledsoe. So I think that Lonzo's time in New Orleans is done. Let's kind of go here to Lonzo Ball. Whoops, did not mean to pick him as like a player or pick him as like stats. Let's see, Lonzo Ball, where you at? Lonzo, so he has...
So who in the NBA is the biggest like NFL trash?
All right, get out of here. And then 11 mil. We can't trade for Kemba. See, like, I'm even stuck here. Like, what else do you trade for? I mean, I think it would have to be kind of some of these contracts. I mean, if we can get rid of him, that'd be great. I think Romeo Langford is not in our ideal situation. I think if we can get rid of either Semi Ojeleye or Roy, let's get rid of Carson Edwards. I don't want him either. And let's, we might have to give up Semi or Robert Williams. Give up Semi and see if, I don't think this trade works. No. We need, oops. Okay, that's cool. But I would like to see like a guy like Lonzo Ball on our team that actually adds value. I mean, if we look at other teams in the league, I mean, the Charlotte Hornets, obviously we're not dealing with them anymore. New York Knicks have nobody. I mean, it's a tough pickings out there. I think the only couple teams you can try and trade for, maybe the Sacramento Kings. Let's see the Kings really quick and see if we can try and trade for it. Let's kind of look here. Let me see if my other friend kind of wants to get on. Let's go to see if Brad wants to join us on stream. Kind of someone that I think that we should free is, of course, Buddy Hield. And what we could definitely trade for him is just getting rid of some of these players. Like if we get, let's sell them on the potential of some first-round picks and trade them away. Like, honestly, Naismith or Romeo Langford. I would love this to happen. I mean, Celtics are with threshold. So we'd have to cut $15 million in order. Let's adjust the trade. We might have to get rid of... No, we can't get rid of Kemba Walker because I don't think it's enough. I'd have to play around with it a little bit more. Mike Conley, I think, is going to stay in Utah. I think that he kind of has a sweet deal. I would love Mike Conley. I think he's always been one of the most underrated guards in the league since he's come in. But I just think that ultimately what's gonna come down to it is that I don't think that Mike Conley wants to come here. I think that Donovan Mitchell would have been a perfect someone to get in this for us as a guard, could help Kemba Walker or Jaylen Brown defensively. But it's kind of frustrating to watch that this is kind of being the case right now. I mean, let's also get rid of, I want to keep Peyton Pritchard because I think he's going to be good. Let's get rid of Semi, and let's see if we can get rid of Romeo Langford and see if this works. No, it still doesn't work. I mean, we need to get rid of 10 mil, which is kind of frustrating to watch. Drew Holiday in 2020. See, the thing is, like, I think we need to contend now because I think it's going to get too hard. And I just think that maybe getting Buddy Hield might be a better option, but the problem is we're going to be over the cap space. It's just numbers that, like, honestly, as someone that's just kind of like I wouldn't say I call myself like a supreme fan where I know numbers and I can match them up here and there. I'm just a casual, like, put in the trade machine and see if it works. So I think that we'll have to definitely look at players to kind of look to see what else we can get rid of. But I think at the end of the day, what it comes down to is looking for players that fit our scheme. And, I think Buddy Hield would be a perfect player. There's a lot of good players on here, but it's just kind of frustrating to see, like, what else we could try and trade for. Minnesota, no. Lakers wouldn't trade to anybody. San Antonio, let's see if San Antonio has anybody that we could want. They have some decent players here and there, but it's not anyone that I'm, like, excited about, and it's no one that I think is ready to contend with us at this moment. Reggie Jackson, I'm not really a big fan of Reggie Jackson, to be honest with you. I think that it would just kind of be a very meh situation if we got him. Sorry guys, I'm just checking the score really quick on this. Okay, it looks like we're still up 2-0 or 2-0. But let's kind of see what else we can definitely add to this team. I mean, let's see what other teams we could look at. Miami probably not wanting to get traded. I mean, Orlando, do they have any pieces that we want? No. Like nothing at all from the Orlando Magic. Let's see here as well. New Orleans, like I said, I kind of like Lonzo Ball in the backcourt. Denver, would they be willing to trade? See, I don't think I want Gary Harris. Yeah, we're not taking Dylan Brooks, Sean. I'm sorry. We're not going to take him. But yeah, I mean, just kind of just talking more free agency news. It's just kind of one of the arguments where I just get frustrated. You know, I just think that in terms of Boston Celtics news, let's kind of look on here. I don't really see anything of the latest. Let's kind of look at the latest, see if there's anything. I mean, nothing really that I see. I do agree with this. I think the Gordon Hayward just keeps finessing. I think somehow Gordon Hayward keeps getting paid by these teams. Do you think the Kings will match Hot? See, let that Supreme Gamer. Let's kind of move on to that. Hopefully, Tyrese, if you're up or if you're still working or whatever you're doing, hopefully you can catch this at a later time. But let's move on to kind of the Bogdanovic situation. I think if I'm the Kings, I think the direction they're going, I don't think they will. Because I think the Kings right now are in this predicament where they are not necessarily good, but they're not necessarily bad. I think they're kind of like in between right now. I think that they have some good players. They have some pieces that they can go and kind of the route that they can go. But I'm definitely interested to see as someone that liked Bogdanovic, like how he does on the Hawks. I think that if Bogdanovic, like I said, it brings him to a 5th or 6th seed. But we'll see what's going on in the latest. But yeah, I think the Kings, I don't think they match. I think the Kings, let's kind of look to see if the Kings are going to match. Let's see here. I don't think so. Days I'm told is that 50%. The Kings have 48 hours to match. The max trade kicker in Bogdanovic, obviously, I'm told, is structured, so the team's deals him away must pay it. The Hawks have taken every measure possible to add Bogdanovic to a signing spree that's already at Nilgan. Yeah, I do think that the Hawks will make the playoffs if Bogdanovic is on the team. Like I said, I think they could be a 6th seed just because I think of how good they are. With Trae Young at the backcourt, and you add 2 defensive guys in Rondo and Dunn to kind of help stifle or to kind of help out Trae Young, because we know defensively he's kind of a liability, just like Steph Curry is when you're going against other type of guards. But I do think that the Hawks will make the playoffs just because I think that Bogdanovic is just too damn good to not be on the playoffs. Like, I think Bogdanovic kind of gets a bad rap because he's kind of seen as kind of like a money guy at this point. But I do like him as a player. I think that he's actually going to be a good player to add, in my opinion. Standings predictions. I mean, just of right now, as we kind of look at the roster, let me kind of look at the NBA standings really quick, and I'll just kind of make a predicament from NBA standings. I mean, let's kind of look at it really quick. This is kind of the NBA standings as it was last year. I'll make a prediction of like where teams are going to go as of right now, but it could change potentially with more moves and more situations going here. So let's start off with the first team. Obviously, I think it's going to be the Milwaukee Bucks, just because I think that Giannis is just too good, and they play too many crappy teams in the East. So I think that they're going to be staying at. I don't think Golden State's going to trade anybody. I think they're going to stay packed. They're going to see what's going to happen. I think they're going to see what Steph Curry can do on his own, because I think that they're looking to see what's going to be going on with Klay Thompson, if he can still play this year. Probably not. But I think that they are going to stay packed and kind of grow and develop James Wiseman and see what he can become as an NBA player. But going back to my standings, Supreme Gamer, I have the Bucks at 1. I have the Brooklyn Nets at 2, the Raptors at 3, the Celtics at 4, the Pacers. Actually, sorry, let me just change all this. Bucks at 1, Nets at 2, the Heat at 3, the Pacers at 4, the Celtics at 5, the 76ers still stay the same. So actually, you know what? I'll flip them. 76ers at 5, Boston at 6. Nets are obviously up there now. So I think, I think the, I want to say if I had to pick between these teams, I would say maybe the Hornets have a chance. So I'd give the Hornets a chance to be the 7th seed. The Wizards at 8, depending on what happens with trade-wise. I think the Magic at 9 and the Bulls at 10, and then the rest just doesn't matter, because what's really going to matter is kind of the playoff prediction. There's going to be the playoff situation that's going to go on in the NBA now that the 9 and 10 seed actually have a chance to make the playoffs at this point. Supreme Gamer, sure. Why don't you put it in the chat and let me know what your standings are for the NBA as this moment. So as of November 22nd, what is your standing? Because obviously this will change depending on trades going on with the Nets, depending on trades that go on with the with all these other teams. Oh, sorry, the Hawks. Excuse me, the Hawks. The Hawks are definitely going to be in the 7th seed. So who do I have there? I think the Hawks are going to be the 7th seed, because I think the Celtics are just going to fall back a little bit more, because the Celtics, to be honest, like losing their good players is going to be a struggle for us initially. So I think that the Hawks are going to be the 7th seed. So I'm wrong. The 7th seed will go to the Atlanta Hawks, and then they'll have to do a playing game, which is just, to be honest with you, is kind of stupid, but it is what it is at this point. Let me but yeah, Supreme Gamer, if you want to put it in the chat, put it out your standing predictions. And oh yeah, let me tell my friend Josh about let me let him know that Bogdan is going to be signing there. See, Sean, I think they still need bigs though. I mean, as much as Draymond has kind of regressed, I still think that they need to be able to pass the rock and still be able to do kind of that all-around big, unfortunately. So I don't think that we're necessarily going to see Draymond Green go anywhere anytime soon. I think once he's fully healthy, once he's recharged, I think we're going to see a new and revitalized Warriors team. But just kind of looking again. Okay, so Supreme Gamer, you have the Bucks, you have Philly, you have the Nets, you have the Raptors, you have Celtics, Heat, Hawks, Hornets. Who are your 9 and 10? Because this year they're going to change the... Yeah, but Wiseman isn't like as a passing big. Like Wiseman is more like a DeAndre Jordan at this point of his career than he is like a Draymond Green. So I think you got to still develop and grow him at this point. So we'll see what happens. I mean, this is kind of an interesting situation to kind of develop. I mean, let's kind of also look at some just kind of NBA news as well. Let's look at Sham. See if Sham has any kind of news and rumors kind of coming up. Willian Hernan Gomez going to the Pelicans. Willie Cauley-Stein going to return to Dallas. See if there's anything else. Marc Gasol to Lakers and Raptors. LA trying to make an offer for him. The trade's complete for Drew Holiday. Bazemore to return to the Warriors. Let's see here. Free agency. I mean, there's not really much, you know. Oh, sorry. Serge Ibaka is going to sign with the Clippers. I'm sorry to... I think I said that he was signing to a different team. 9 Wizards, 10 Bulls, 11 Knicks. Yeah, the Knicks are... To be honest, the Knicks are going to be bad again, and they're not even going to get the number 1 pick. They just seem to always be in that situation. The Wizards and Bulls, yeah, I think the Bulls can be a 10th seed. I think they'll try and make some noise, but not really much. But like I said, Serge Ibaka is actually going to be going to the Clippers. I forgot to mention that, and I think I made an error on that at the beginning. I think I said he's going to the Nets. No, he's actually going to the Clippers. So that's going to be a fun one to watch and see what he does for that team. I think it's a great pickup for them as they lost Trez as kind of a Trez replacement. And also we got KCP, or Contavious Caldwell-Pope, is going to be signing another deal with the Lakers, so that's an amazing thing for him. I think that it's a great pickup to go to the Lakers, be that third or fourth superstar, depending on who they bring in. Wow, you think the East is going to be better than the West? Interesting. Jay, why do you say that? Why do you say that? It's kind of interesting. I never really thought of it like that way. The Clippers are slightly better with that. The loss. I mean, I don't think the Clippers are any better. I still think they're the same fraudulent team that we've come to know since the playoffs. Let's see here. Carmelo Anthony's going back to the Blazers. That's kind of an L in my opinion. But we'll see what happens there. Jay Crowder going to the Suns. That's a huge pickup for the Suns. I think that Jay Crowder is actually a really good player, and I'm glad that he's going to a good team with a guy like Chris Paul who can get him the ball easily, and he's just a catch and shoot. Sucks for the Heat, but ultimately you got to get paid. I'm sorry. I mean, it is what it is. But Avery Bradley going to the Miami Heat. I think I talked about Avery Bradley maybe going to the Celtics. I was wrong. He's going to be going to the Miami Heat, which is a great pickup for them. Fred VanVleet signing an $85 million deal to stay with the Raptors. That's a great move on them. And then, other than that, I think that CJ, I would like to say that you're right, but I think the West is still a stronger conference because from top to bottom, from looking at the teams, like if we look at these teams in the West, like all of these teams can make the playoffs. Maybe except for the Sacramento Kings and maybe see, like that's the only team that I think I can make an argument that can't make the playoffs. Like that's how competitive the West is compared to the East. The East I already know the Pistons ain't making it. The Wizards aren't. The Orlando Magic maybe. The New York Knicks are definitely not. Like there's 3, and then the Central, the Bulls aren't making it. The Cleveland Cavaliers aren't making them, and Detroit isn't making it. So it's just kind of one of those things where I know that for certain that there's teams that are not going to be making the playoffs compared to the West where it's an open game. Like anybody can make it. Like all these teams have gotten so much better throughout free agency or throughout the years that it's hard to really pinpoint who's going to be making the playoffs and who isn't. But I think the West is just a little bit stronger. The East is very top heavy. I will agree with you in that point, but I think that the West is still harder. Because like Supreme Gamer said, it's really hard to predict who's going to win and who's going to lose. So that's kind of my opinion on that. Let's see if anybody wants to join. The West is just really hard to predict. And let's kind of look at some more NBA rumors besides the Boston Celtics because it's just going to frustrate me. Just kind of seeing that. Let's see here. Kelly Oubre trade. I think we kind of talked about this. I think it might be official. Yep, it's official. He's going to the Golden State Warriors, which is actually going to be a great pickup for him. So, no, it's going to be a great move. Going to be a great move. But let's look at this. Oubre. Okay, let's look at some news really quick on Real GM. I think Jonte Porter to the Grizzlies, that's actually a really great pickup because we haven't really seen Jonte Porter play in a while because I think he tore his ACL. So we'll see what happens with him. We see Bismack Biyombo re-signing with the Hornets. Not sure how much that contract is worth. Hopefully it's worth less than what he originally signed for because that is a ridiculous amount of money. Donovan Mitchell signs his. I mean, it's just kind of a... Sean, I really like the Jonte Porter deal, and I think the Grizzlies are still in the contention for the playoffs. I still think they're going to be either the 8th, 9th, or 10th team in this when it comes to it because you said that Jaren Jackson Jr. isn't going to be starting the season, so it's like you're gonna have to wait and see if he gets healthy or not. So I think that the Grizzlies are still in a great position. They still have John Morant. They still have some great players. But they're still going to have to kind of grow and develop as a team. Because right now, they're very young. And I think that if you give them a couple years, I think they'll be a good team. Let's see here. And then for your predictions in the West, you had Lakers, Nuggets, Clippers, Portland, Mavericks, Suns, Rockets, Jazz, Warriors, Timberwolves. Interesting. That's an interesting one, Supreme Gamer. Well, I'll have to dissect that one in a minute. But Jay, to be honest with you, if I'm Trez, I'm switching sides. Like, obviously, the Clippers have no intention of really building a strong foundation. It seems like they were quick to move players. They were quick to trade for guys. Like, they traded the moon for Paul George. And instead of, like, really analyzing what Paul George has done throughout his career, they've just kind of been very lackluster in that aspect. So, I think Trez going to the Lakers is a great pickup. Not only for the Lakers, but also for Trez. He gets to be a hustle guy on... and yeah, Supreme Gamer, it is the 22nd, or Sean, it is the 22nd of December. But I think that Trez is fine because he gets to be the hustle guy. He gets to be what Alex Caruso, I think, tried to be, even though I think that he wasn't as good. But I think Trez can do it on a different level. So I think Trez will be a great pickup for the Lakers. He'll be good in the purple and gold. And I think that was actually a really good pickup on their part. So I think at the end of the day, I like the pickup for the... I like the pickup for the Lakers, and I also think that it's not really necessarily a betrayal because really the Clippers didn't really have a plan. I mean, we saw that Doc Rivers bounced out. We saw that many of these players are bouncing out for the Clippers. And so I don't think Kawhi does a good job of necessarily meshing his guys together and kind of saying, hey, you know what? I know we didn't really accomplish what we wanted to last season, but this season we got it. And so I think that's where I get frustrated with a guy like Trez, or sorry, not with Trez, but with a guy like Kawhi because he's not talkative. In this league, you have to talk, you have to communicate. It's why LeBron James is one of the best players in the league. It's why he's one of the best players to ever do it because his communication and the way that he verbalizes to everybody, strong, clear, to the point, and lets everybody know, like, hey, you're not doing your job. You need to start doing your job. Meanwhile, I think Kawhi kind of does like, yeah, man, you're fine. Like, no, instead, you have to be straight up and honest with your players. Whether you do that on the court or whether you do that on the side as a side conversation. You're going to have to start doing that as a star player. And so I think right now, Trez had every right to leave the Clippers because I don't think that they're necessarily going to help him win a championship. So I think that's what he really wants, and I think that the Lakers have a better chance than any team right now at this current stage. But let's kind of look at some more hoops hype, see if there's anything else going on. Not really much. But let's kind of talk about the Gordon Hayward stuff. So the thing that frustrates me more about the Gordon Hayward stuff is because I really think that the Charlotte Hornets definitely did a disservice not only to LaMelo Ball, but also to the process of the Charlotte Hornets. It seems like they want to be in the playoffs right now. They want to be able to kind of say, hey, you know, we're the 7th or 8th seed. But at the end of the day, you just don't have a roster or the players are old enough to kind of warrant them to make a playoff run. I think that they're still a young team. I still think there's a lot of growth and potential for these teams to grow. And unfortunately, they just didn't do a good job of stating that or doing that. Because right now, like, yeah, the Charlotte Hornets may be like a 9th or 10th seed, but it's just kind of frustrating to see that they're not doing a good job of creating an atmosphere for these teams to grow and develop. Like I said, I think growing and developing, especially for the Hornets, who have such a young player in LaMelo, have so many young players. PJ Washington, I believe, is on that team as well. And adding Gordon Hayward. Gordon Hayward is the biggest money finesser I think I've ever seen in my life. The fact that he was able to get all this money from Boston, all this money from Utah, and now all this money from the Hornets, I have to give his agent a round of applause that he's able to say that Gordon Hayward is worth 4 years, $120 million. Because in no way, shape, or form is Gordon Hayward worth 120. This is where I think Michael Jordan needs to hire someone to be in the front office with him, because honestly, I don't think he's making the right decision, adding the right players to help him win a championship. Right now, they're trying to speed the process up, not adding the right ingredients, and adding an ingredient that is not necessarily the best at his point, or not necessarily the best at his position. So it's like, why even spend that much money? That is a max for some great player. It's not a max for Gordon Hayward. I mean, Gordon Hayward, take the money. I mean, that's your right, that's your privilege to take that money, because obviously you're an NBA star. But at the same time, for making one All-Star appearance, he's worth 120. I mean, if Brad Stevens couldn't do anything with Gordon Hayward, obviously he got hurt, so I understand the injury bug. But the fact that he couldn't do anything with Brad Stevens couldn't do anything with Gordon Hayward, it's just mind-boggling, and it's kind of frustrating if I'm a Celtics fan, and also if I'm a Hornets fan. Like, why would I want this guy that's worth 120 and doesn't really do much for me? It just doesn't make any sense. It's stupid, and I think that right now, the Celtics need to, or the Hornets need to decide, like, what is going to be their future. They're going to have to speed up the process then, and hope that LaMelo Ball grows. I know that he played in Europe, and he played in Australia, and he played in Lithuania, so maybe you're expecting him to be kind of older and more mature. But at the same time, it is frustrating to see that you just don't really care about winning games. Maybe you do care about winning games, but you don't care about the growth and development of these young players who, I mean, yeah, you're trying to force them to go to the playoffs right now, but maybe they're not ready for it. And you need to let these other guys kind of in there to let them grow and develop. But it's just frustrating, because I know as a Celtics fan, like, I'm going to come off salty, I'm going to come off mean. But I don't think that Gordon Hayward was worth the 4 years, 120. And I think that they need to look themselves in the mirror, the Celtics do, and figure out, why the hell did we not get someone for Gordon Hayward? Why did we not get picks? Why did we not get the things that we needed? Because they obviously just didn't do the right job, and it's kind of frustrating to see that they're still at this point not doing the right job. And right now, it is frustrating. It is sickening. It's disheartening as a Celtics fan. Like, you expected so many things, a championship by this year, by this next year. I expect a championship, and what are we getting? Trading away Enes Kanter, getting rid of Gordon Hayward for nothing, and not even trading for a superstar player in return. It's frustrating. It's sickening. And as a Celtics fan, I'm PO'd. I mean, I may not seem it. I may seem more calm. I may seem more collected, but inside I'm raging, because it's not something that I want to see with us. I want to see some great players, but unfortunately that's just not the case. And so we'll see what happens. I'm genuinely pissed off at the Celtics right now, because if they don't make a move, I think you need to fire Danny Ainge, because I think you're living off 2008 way too long, and I think it's time for you to move on past that and hire a GM and hire somebody that's willing to make the big trades, that's willing to go and get the big star name players, even if it's for a year, even if it's for 2. I would rather take that, to be honest with you. I know probably in years past I would say, no, you want the secure player, you want the player that you want them for a long term, but ultimately that's not the case. And I think it's frustrating, it's disheartening, and it's just honestly sickening. I think I keep saying those words over and over again, but I feel it in my bones that this is just not the team. This is not the team, and I think you need to fire Danny Ainge, because he's obviously doing a terrible job at this moment, and it's time to look yourselves in the mirror and say, all right, what type of team do we want to be? Do we want to be a really good team, or do we want to be a great team? And that's something that you're going to have to figure out on your own. And we'll find out from here on out what these teams are made of. But that is just my opinion, guys. I mean, let's kind of talk. Let's see if anybody in the chat has something to say, so I can kind of get my mind off the Celtics free agency debacle that we're going through. The Rockets still have Westbrook and Harden. They'll make the playoffs. Yeah, I think they will if they do keep Westbrook and Harden. But in my heart of heart and kind of what I'm feeling, they're not going to be trading away, or they're going to be trading away Harden. Westbrook too, I think. I think the owner rubs everybody off the wrong way. Like, if they don't win right away, he's looking to just clear everybody out and restart. And so I think that the owner needs to start looking himself in the mirror and being like, okay, what players do we need? What players do we not need? But at this point, we're going to be looking to see what's going on. Celtics do need a superstar. It's just a matter of who's going to be out there for us to get, because there's not many superstars out there that are just willing to go and move, and teams willing to move that player as well. It's frustrating to watch, honestly. And And like I said, it's disheartening, it's sickening, and I wish that we could really get players to really help us win these games. And I think the Celtics right now need to look themselves in the mirror and see what moves can we make to get that to happen. But ultimately, we just haven't had that yet. Are you talking about your standing prediction, Supreme Gamer? I can do your Lakers one in a little bit. Or I can do your Western Conference one a little bit. I just want to kind of look over some more news and rumors before we continue going on. Talking about it. I just want to make sure that no one... Just want to see if there's any other news. But is that what you're talking about, Supreme Gamer? Your breakdown predictions of your standings of the West? Okay. Give me a little bit, because I'm going to go to the bathroom. So I'm going to be playing some lo-fi music. For people in the chat, if anybody comes in, let them know that I'm just going to the bathroom really quick. And then I will be right back to kind of do your predictions, okay, Supreme Gamer? So give me about like 2 or 3 minutes as I need to go to the bathroom. So let's put on the lo-fi beats. So let me go to the bathroom and I'll be right back. All right. I am back. Hopefully the noise is going good. Okay. Oh, whoops. All right. Let's see here. Camera back on. Hopefully it should be back on. Perfect. Let me just make sure my headphones are reconnected, and then we'll go over your predictions, Supreme Gamer. Let's see here. Hopefully it should connect. Waiting it for connecting. Let's pause you so we don't get the copyright strike. Let me make sure it works. For some reason, I just can't hear anything. Oh, that's why. All right, perfect. All right, so let's stop that so we don't get kind of gimmicked here. But Supreme Gamer, let's go over your predictions really quick, and then we'll kind of move on to some other stories. I kind of want to also, Sean, if you're also in the chat, we're going to be going over that player that for Gonzaga that you and the PM were talking about. So we will be going over some interesting players that are signing not only to colleges, but maybe to other teams as well in the upcoming season. Because I think basketball actually starts this Wednesday for college basketball, that is. So that's exciting for college basketball fans to kind of see the next generation. A lot of guys in the 2021 class. That's going to be a good one. But let's talk about your predictions, Supreme Gamer. So you had number 1, the Lakers, obviously. Number 2, the Nuggets. That's actually a very interesting one. I think the Nuggets are actually going to take a couple steps back. 3 are the Clippers. Okay. The Clippers. I think the Clippers stay. I think the Clippers honestly go to number 2. I think they're just too good talent with Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. Even though I'm not a big fan of Paul George, I still think that he's a decent player, so I don't think he's necessarily going to fall that much. So I'm not really too sure about that one. Portland, I am not a big fan of Portland. I know that they made a lot of great signings. I know that people are really hyped up on Portland, but to be honest with you, I'm not necessarily sold on that duo of CJ McCollum and Dame Lillard. It hasn't worked. It hasn't worked till this point. I mean, yeah, you got to the playoffs, but it really hasn't really panned out, in my opinion, to really warrant them to be at the top of the conference, in my opinion. The Mavericks, I think, are actually going to slip into number 3 or number 4. The Suns at number 6, I actually like that one. The Rockets at 7, yeah, about right. The Jazz, I think the Jazz are actually a little bit better than I think people think. So I think the Jazz are actually moving up to 5 or 6. I think the Suns had move up one more spot. I think the Portland Trailblazers will be number 7 or number 8. The Warriors, I think they will sneak in the playoffs. I think they will be, well, it depends on the Rockets at this point. I think the Rockets move down one, and I think they end up going to 9, and I think the Warriors take their spot. The Timberwolves, I think, are in 10 just because I don't think they added anybody new, and I think Anthony Edwards is going to take a long time to grow and develop. I think it's going to take a little bit of time. So that's kind of what I make of your prediction, Supreme Gamer. I think there's actually some positives in there just because I think the Lakers, obviously, a great team, a team that will definitely be well versed and well thought out because I think they're going to add even more players at this point. You know, I would like to see the teams that kind of offered a team sheet to Bogdanovic at this point, but I do think the Lakers are going to be number 1 again. It's just a matter of the other teams, and I think the Timberwolves, if we give them a little bit more growth and development, I think that they will. We'll see what happens there, but. At the end of the day, it is exciting. It's interesting to watch that that these teams have gotten a lot better, especially in the West. It's going to get even harder. And the Kings are nowhere in sight because they are trash. If you're a Kings fan, I do like, there is this company called Swish Athletics. So I really like their apparel for the Sacramento Kings, but I just can't support the Kings as a franchise because they honestly have done their players dirty. I don't think they've done their players the right way. So we'll see what happens with the Kings. Like I want the Kings to be good because I remember those 2000 days where they were going against the Lakers and it was a fun one. Everyone thought it was a conspiracy theory, but it is what it is at this point. So we'll see what happens there. Daryl Morey and the 76ers have honestly, they're one of my biggest winners in this free agency class and also draft class. I think they drafted Tyrese Maxey, who I think could be a superstar player. Obviously, given the time and development to grow, he can honestly be a Devin Booker or a Jamal Murray in terms of is a late bloomer in this draft. So I think a lot of teams kind of slept on him. The fact that he went down into the 20s is actually insulting because I think he's actually really good. And the only thing that needs to change is his jump shot. Just because he shoots it from the face instead of, kind of up here and then shooting it. So I think he needs to work on that kind of motion of making sure that it doesn't come from the face shooting this way, but more up a little bit above your eyebrow line, like where your thumb should be. And then you kind of shoot it. So I think that, or the release point should be higher. Meanwhile, he has it kind of here and he shoots it like that. So I think he needs to work on that. And other than that, I think he's actually going to be a tremendous player. So we'll see what happens with Tyrese Maxey as he continues to grow. But I think this is honestly going to be the decision year where we see whether or not the 76ers are for real with Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. Because I think this is a prove-it year for both of them. They both have had better careers. I think that they have kind of been disappointing and lackluster as a 76er. But we'll see if they can grow and develop because I think that's what they need to do in order to become superstar players, in order to become a team that actually will contend for an NBA Finals. So we'll see what happens there. I am very curious to know what your guys' opinions are of the 76ers. Are they going to be a team that you could see oh yeah, let's give them a couple years, or is this the final year to say, hey, are you guys really wanting a championship, or you guys are just looking to be kind of the laid back, relaxed, kind of enjoy the perks of being in the NBA? That's going to be the biggest question mark in my opinion. And let's kind of see here as well if there's any other news that Sham has given us. I don't think so, but we could be in for a nice surprise if we see. Let's refresh his page. Yep, nothing really new. Let's see if Wojnarowski has anything. Woj. Jair Smith, that kind of sucks for him. I thought he was going to be growing. You know, Bertans, great deal. Donovan Mitchell, great deal. And Sean, if you're still here, I think the DeJounte Porter deal is actually really good. Let me just clear my throat really quick. I'm going to mute so I don't sound very loud. Okay. But let's see here. So getting rid of Al Horford, getting Howard is good. Yeah, I thought Howard should have stayed in LA. I didn't necessarily like that move for Howard because I don't think he necessarily fits the scheme of Joel Embiid. He is definitely going to be a hustle player. He's going to be a guy that defends very well. But I didn't necessarily like the fact that Howard kind of did that to the Lakers fans and then was just like, yep, I'm going to sign. Oh, Sean, I was going to say I really liked the move that the Grizzlies made for DeJounte Porter. I think I may have talked about it earlier, but I think DeJounte Porter is actually going to be a really good player for the Grizzlies. I think that because he had so many knee injuries, I think this is actually a low-risk, high-reward deal because I think that if DeJounte Porter can be healthy, if he can stay healthy and can really develop and grow, I think you have a star player in your hands in DeJounte Porter. It all depends on how he grows and develops, though, and if he can stay healthy. Because I think that's kind of been his biggest question marks, kind of going from here on out. So I really like that pickup for you guys. I think the Grizzlies are also a team that they did some solid work in the draft and also in the kind of free agency. So we'll see what happens with the Grizzlies. Can they develop and grow and get past that sort of ninth seed kind of lull that they had in the bubble? I think if there was no bubble, I think that the Grizzlies actually would have won out and they would have been in the playoffs, but we'll see what happens from here on out. But I do like that. And Danny Green, I think the problem with Danny Green, I think he's just too old, and I don't think that he's necessarily the player that he once was. So I know a lot of you might like him, but I'm not necessarily a big fan of him. So we'll see how that continues to go. And before we kind of watch, I think I'm going to watch the video that of the player that Sean and PM recommended me. Those are two of my friends. I kind of want to look at my fantasy football team just really quick. Let's see here. Let's see what I'm doing. Let's see if I'm winning or if I'm losing. All right. Looks like we're in the W so far. Couple players to go. We already got a touchdown reception for Devontae Parker. Sweet. Greg Zuerlein, no kick still. Dolphins have an interception. I think Dolphins defense is low-key underrated in my opinion. But let's see. I think he only has his kicker left, so I definitely won this matchup. All right. So let's move on to a player that my friend Sean and PM wanted me to look at as someone that is going to the Gonzaga Bulldogs. So let's kind of look up this guy. I don't want to butcher his name, so we're just going to look in the chat. Let's see here. Let's see here. So Fanbo Zhang is his name. Fanbo. Oopsie, I think it's Zhang. Let's kind of look at this guy and kind of look at this mixtape by Sports Hip Hop. We're going to mute it so we don't get copyright stricken, but at this point it's kind of let's kind of look at to see his growth and development. Let's put this into theater mode. How many years ago was this? Hopefully it's not like... He looks really young. Whoops. Let's kind of look at this guy. So before we continue on the video, I just want to make an announcement, guys. So I want to say every weekend when I do a live stream, I kind of want to highlight some players, some people that are not necessarily well known, or players that are not necessarily that well versed that people know. Like I think this guy named Fanbo Zhang, I think it's going to be a interesting player to look at and see like who he is, what he does. Do we like his game? Do we not like his game? And so we'll see like who what type of player he is. Let's maybe take this out and put this into default view so we can kind of watch. And so let's see here. It's already looking like I like his ability. He has a good drive and good motor. I would love to see like what competition, he's kind of playing with this like ABA ball. Left-handed too. Interesting. I always love me some lefties. Definitely has to get a quicker release. I kind of wish I had a full game highlight instead of just these highlights. I want to see, maybe I can find it on online, because I mean, as much as I love highlights as the next guy, I love to watch like a full game to see like his positioning, like how he does. But if you guys are seeing, I'm also looking at the left-handed side just because that's where my screen's at. So let's see here. Man, we need some of these kids on our team. Great jab step. I love the move, just the setup move. Obviously, he's taller than all the rest of the kids, so I think it's a little easier for that. So I would love to see him go against like some of the guys like Chet Holmgren and Imani Bates and kind of those like top 100. I think you say he's 17, Sean, on the ESPN 100, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, he's 17 right now. Oh, okay, gotcha. So, again, guys, we are watching Fanbo Zhang. He's a guy, a player from China, and we're seeing like how he can grow and develop in this league. I don't know what school he goes to. He came away with Player of the Year honors at Winmere Prep. It's kind of a lame. Let's see here. This is him in, I believe, China. So this is him, number 6, I believe. This is going to kind of tell me a little bit more about him. Okay. That was pretty filthy. I'm not going to lie to you. But let's keep watching and seeing what's going on. Hopefully, like, I actually get to see, like, full offensive possessions. I don't want to see highlights because I want to see, like, these players play in a full game. I don't want to see these players. Okay, here we go. Sets the pace up really well. Good vision. Obviously not playing in like the best competition, even though I think China is a rising basketball. They are a rising basketball league, and also a rising basketball like players. But we haven't seen anybody this high since like Yi Jianlian. I don't know if you guys remember him. So we'll see if like this guy hopefully doesn't fall in the same boat, because I think the problem with Yi Jianlian, I think that I don't know if he thought he was too good or what was his deal, but it just definitely, I think it irked teams and fans the wrong way, the fact that he kind of said no to the Milwaukee Bucks. So let's kind of continue watching. Supreme Gamer at this point, I don't know what his, I have to watch a little bit more. That's kind of a little bit of a hold right there, offensive foul. I don't really necessarily like the swim move. It's kind of, even though I'm guilty of it too, like I'm not going to lie, when I play, I kind of do that move too. As long as you kind of hold it out and not kind of do like a swim where you're just trying to like push back, I think it's fine, but good steal. Kind of a nice assist. Good block. These, let's see, does he run the lane? Yeah, he runs the lane pretty well. That's a good finish. That's a great finish. I don't know if I could give a player comp yet. He's only 17, so I want to give him like another year to kind of grow and develop as like his senior year. I think he must be a senior now, I believe. So we'll kind of look at him as like because 6 months ago he's a sophomore. Actually, he said he was a sophomore, Sean, so he has 2 more years. Don't necessarily like that. Just finish strong. Finish the buckets. Good pass. Seems like this they're playing against a zone, so like I think that's also kind of a frustrating thing, kind of playing a zone. Good find for his teammate. The The only reason why I don't like watching against zone is because mainly, besides the Miami Heat, you play man in the NBA, so it's kind of interesting to see. No, Sean, he's not Magic Johnson. He says so. Sean, you're saying he's number 33 in the nation, on ESPN. That's kind of a dangerous pass. All right, good. We actually have a man defense here. Good shooter. I mean, I like his shot. I mean, obviously it's a lefty bias, but so far it looks pretty good. I need to see like his stats. I'll probably look it up in just a sec after we kind of watch these highlights. Spaces out pretty well. Knows like when to kind of go to the lower corner, when to stay. Good pass against this kind of awful zone defense. High-low pass works every time against the zone. Simple offense if you want to learn. The only thing I want to see from him is that he doesn't look really athletic in terms of like speed-wise, but he does look like a pretty decent player. He doesn't necessarily have to be the fastest, but the IQ. See, this is the thing in the NBA is that passing and shooting is going to get you further than scoring points per game. I mean, I think your coach could care less if you score like 30 points a game, but if you are able to have a lot of assists and also can shoot the three ball really well, any coach in the NBA will take you. Any coach in the basketball atmosphere will take you. So I think that's the reason why Gonzaga is very interested in him, because I think as a passer he looks really good, and as a shooter he looks pretty decent as well. So this is kind of interesting situation. Lonzo Ball but can shoot, but I think Lonzo Ball is a little bit more athletic than him. But let's kind of continue watching, and then we'll look at I want to look at stats for him really quick. I mean, the shot looks pretty good. I like it. Like I said, lefty bias in my opinion. I am a lefty, so this is kind of biased on my part, but looks like a good player. I'm already impressed with the way that he plays. The shot looks really good. But like I said, I want to see like a full offensive possession. But let's kind of look up. Looks like I already landed him. Let's see. Yeah, number 33 prospect commits to Gonzaga. He picked over like Florida State, Florida, Virginia Tech. Like he's already looking. I mean, he's already getting good offers from these teams. So I would love to see kind of him. So it's class of 2022. Let's look at this. So you said he was number 33, Fan Bojang. Okay, let's see like the list of offers he's had. I guess it doesn't really give me his list. But sixth in position, fourth in the state of Florida. I mean, he looks like a pretty good player. I mean, this is the class of the Monty Bates. So, I mean, this is going to be a very dangerous situation going on here. You have a lot of great players on this 2022. All right, thank you, Jake, I guess. Thank you for that comment. But yeah, I do think that NBA teams, and kind of going back to my point, and the reason why I think he is number 33, although he may not be the most athletic, and you do have to be somewhat athletic in the NBA, as long as you have the vision and the IQ and the passing and the shooting, like teams will take you. And I think that's something that you really need to look out for when it comes to the NBA. Because I think that's ultimately what teams are looking for. They don't care about your points per game. They don't care that you're some small 6'1" guard that can score like 30 points a game or 35 or 36 points a game. If you can't shoot and you can't do the things that they're asking you to, like find open people, teams aren't going to take you. And sorry, I hate listening to it in airplane mode because I like to hear my voice a little bit. But I do like this kid. I think he's actually going to be a very interesting player. Gonzaga seems to be adding a lot of great players. I know in the 2021 class they're adding Chet Holmgren, who's looking like he's going to be a good player too. This guy, I think the offer seems to be Gonzaga, Ohio State, North Carolina. It would be interesting to see him, Gonzaga, North Carolina battle out for him. So we'll see what happens. 70 rebounds, 2 points, 2 points, sophomore in Orlando. Yeah, I mean, rebounding wise, I think he does good, but I think the passing vision for him is really going to be good. So I really like him. And then one thing I really want to watch is kind of maybe another video of Shangbo and kind of see here. So Dylan Mitchell. Let's see here. Let's kind of watch, 6'9" too. I mean, he's going to be a good player, man. But I want to see like a full game. I don't know if we can look up. Full game. I don't know if there's like a full game we can watch because I do like his game. Let's see here. Let's see here. So this is OK Wisconsin. This is the Rock Holiday Classic Championship. So I think hopefully we can good hop step, good finish. Shout out to Sports Hip Hop. I guess they are. Did we already watch this video? Yeah, I think we already watched this video. Maybe we didn't watch this video, but let's see. Let me filter to see if there's anything for this week. No. Let me see this month and see if there's anything. All right, let's just get rid of this and just continue watching some. I like something recent though. I mean, dude. Oh no, we already watched this one. This was when he was a freshman. Like, I want to see. I don't know if this is going to be anything. Let's look. Oops. Let's see. This is him with a trainer. Seeing if this guy can be.
Obviously, he's naturally gifted, but he's turned it up a few notches as far as taking his workouts more serious, being more committed to it, all that good stuff. So, all right. So, before we get started, obviously, we've been working out for a while now, right? I want to start being more intentional about what we get out of the workout, right? You, in particular, like what you're looking to achieve out of every workout. Because I know at times, obviously, you worked out with me, you worked out with other people. You just came back from China, you did exceptionally well there. But I feel like the separation comes when you're able to be more intentional on what you're trying to get out of each and every workout. Okay, obviously the ultimate goal is to be a pro, right? I feel like you're a pro now. Obviously you got some things to work on, but from a mentality standpoint, people know, like Fambo.
Sorry for the people that are watching that are kind of bored about this,
the
but
first thing I want you to understand, and
I do think that it's very interesting. But we will. Oh, that's interesting. So I guess he hasn't been able to get back into the. Yeah, I mean that's kind of the situation right now. Hopefully that stuff changes like that. I mean, I would love to see this kid play. Hopefully, hopefully he is getting a workouts in China. I know that they're a little bit more stricter about the coronavirus stuff. I don't know if they're open right now or not. So that's all I'll say about that. I would love to. I would love to see this kid play though. Thoughts on the Nuggets? I thought the Nuggets right now they're kind of in they're kind of not making the moves I thought they would. They've kind of made some. I thought losing the guy to a qualifying offer, I think that was kind of a bad move. I thought that he was actually a really good player. But now that they're actually going to be looking at Bol Bol more, I would love to see like what they can do with Bol Bol as he continues to grow and develop. I think Bol Bol is a unique player. I think that his game is kind of something that we haven't seen before in this league. A center that can dribble the rock and also can score the ball, especially from 3-point land. But the problem I have with the Nuggets, though, is that I'm wondering if he's too like if the foot injuries are going to be an issue, because I know with 7-footers, it's kind of, that's been like the biggest issues that they've had. Like that's kind of the biggest worry about getting a guy that's 7 foot is that like their feet can go at any time. And then if their feet are gone, then basically their days in the NBA are numbered. And so, we're kind of seeing Kevin Durant kind of go through this, with the Achilles, had an earlier foot injury before. So I'm hoping that's not the case with Bol Bol, because I like his game. I think Jokic is a great player. But I think the Nuggets need to get another superstar player. They need to trade away Gary Harris and hopefully get another piece for him, because Gary Harris at this moment, he kind of showed in the playoffs that he wasn't ready for the spotlight and the big moments. And so that's kind of the frustrating thing about the Nuggets. And so that's kind of my opinion on them. I think they'll be a decent team, either the 4th or 5th seed this next year. They've proven me wrong every year. But this year I'm for certain that they're not going to make anything unless they trade away Gary Harris. If you trade away Gary Harris and you get a pretty good player out of him, then I would actually be, I'd be more impressed. And 2, I think I could actually see the Nuggets going further in the playoffs than getting into the, I believe they got to the Western Conference Finals. So, and and Michael Porter Jr., that's someone else that you also have to look at who can grow and develop. I think he can. I just think it's going to take more than the years that you have left with some of these players like Jokic, with Murray, which is kind of, you're in that win now window. And so you're going to have to capitalize on that win now window. And so we'll see what happens. But thank you, Bolty, for kind of stopping by. I'm going to kind of continue watching this, this guy named Fambo Zhang, and seeing what his game is all about.
Whose potential has been limitless, but they didn't have the right types of habits. Right. The good thing about you right now is you're a gym rat. You got a phenomenal attitude. I think one of the most important things is you're extremely grateful to be in America, playing the sport that you love. You change the level. Go out in the control of the game and change, because you're still a little just play okay. You just kind of fit the script, fit the system, right? I want you to start separating yourself from a mental standpoint by identifying with just being the guy, right? With being a killer, not a real killer, but obviously a killer on the back. Reality point on those things, because those, you understand? Your preparation.
Not a, kind of him going against Dylan Mitchell. Let's see if this is kind of a good game to watch. Kind of watch a little bit of this game and then we'll kind of move on. But I do like Zebo. I think he's going to be a good player. It sucks that he's unfortunately not going to be playing in the United States just due to some stupid laws. I mean, obviously maybe not stupid, because obviously the coronavirus is a serious issue. But I would love to see him like develop and grow his game out here now, rather than keeping him stuck. Like I said, I would love to watch a full game rather than watching these highlights, to be honest with you. I think it's better to do it that way than to watch, because I mean the highlights, you can tell like he's a good player, you can tell, but I want to see like his, definitely needs to get stronger, because I think that could have been unavoidable. That could have been avoidable. That last steal could have definitely been avoidable. I think the one thing I really like here, if you guys watch, not this part, but watch the next highlight, you see him set up his man number 11, sets him up beautifully with a fake going this way and then cutting back door, great, and gets a nice finish and one. That's a great finish. That's great off ball movement that I'm seeing from Zebo right now, or Zambo. I can't remember if that's kind of the interesting thing. Any undrafted signing for the Nuggets because Euroleague MVP last year, and he looks like a great player to be a feature. Yeah, they don't tell the whole story. Yeah, I would love. Bolty, who is this undrafted signing for the Nuggets? I'd love to. Maybe we can look at him after I'm done looking at Zebo. Can you say his name in the chat? Like I keep up with these teams, but I'd love for you to kind of say who he is and kind of give his backstory. But Fambo, that was a great move by Fambo right there. Great backdoor, and he obviously gets the end one on that. Let's see defensively. Defensively, you know, kind of doesn't do a good job at that point. Good move by that guy. I think is that Dylan Mitchell? I think that's kind of the... Yeah, you gotta come up with that rebound. Good pass. Good block. That's something that I think he needs to kind of... I think instead of jumping there, I think as long as you stay straight up, obviously it's going to be a tough shot over like a 7 foot, basically you're already taller than 7 feet with his long wingspan. So it's like that one. I think he shouldn't have jumped, but we'll see what happens. Lakers 2020 champions, Lakers in 5. Boogie will be a late. You think Boogie's going to return? All right, I'm going to look at this guy next, Bolte, and kind of look at his game. Give me 1 second really quick. I just have a call coming in. All right, sorry about that, everybody. Just had someone just called me, but you know, I think instead of I think the last point that I was making on that last one was that instead of jumping, you're already above 7 feet, and this dude's like what? The guard that he's probably playing against is not that one, but the last possession, where it comes off, guy, you know, this guy's like what? Maybe 6'1", 5'11". Instead of trying to jump right there and try and contest, as long as you're already straight up and you're already taller than 7 feet with your wingspan. So it's make him shoot over you. If he shoots it, that's fine. But I think what I like better is that you get your hands up, he takes the shot, and then you box your man out and try and get that rebound. Because jumping there gets him out of position, and then this guy gets an easy tip in, which I think that's kind of his main gimmick on the team that he's playing on. So I think it would have been a better there. Could have done a better job of setting him up. I mean, look at this. I think if Zambo can set up his man a little bit better, I think that he's obviously going to learn that, because I think his coaches are going to watch the film and be like, yeah, you gotta either hold your man off, or the passer's got to hit it a little bit higher for him to grab. So I think that's enough of that. We'll look at this Euro Finals MVP. Looks like EuroLeague Finals. The Lakers are, they're definitely the number one team, and they're definitely the winners of my free agency besides the Hawks at this point. Because, I mean, when you sign guys like Trez, when you sign many of these other players that they have, it's like they really haven't had any weak spots. And so that's kind of a thing that LeBron James likes to do. That's the thing that LeBron James has for his players. So that's going to be an interesting one to see. Let's kind of watch this guy a full game. Let's see. This is FIBA. Let's watch this player. Let's see here.
Deck just decides to throw the three as casually as you like. Garino. 1 second to shoot it. Campazzo for three. Right on the buzzer.
It over the front of the hoop. That 3-pointer with Raguna closing.
I was looking for the foul there, didn't get it, and now the fast break is on Campazzo for back-to-back threes.
Showing us that he is the magician, whether he's wearing an Argentinian vest or Real Madrid.
Provotola looking for back-to-back threes to start off this third quarter. No good. Get the offensive rebound now. Lewis
I love that hustle on the offensive rebound there.
Uncontested three.
When he gets their long-range game going as well.
Campazzo, great pass, but it's another uncontested three that is knocked down by Nicholas Leprovitola. Good steal from Garino. And here they go, it's Campazzo. Campazzo out to Leprovitola.
Unselfish, I like that. You know, kind of from that Ginobili mold of like being unselfish. You know, when to take the shot, when to not take the shot.
Campazzo to
Good read on the
Scola.
big man from that screen. I mean, this guy looks pretty good. I mean, he's not like
Needed 22 points to
he's
move
not
to
some. You know what I
second
like
in the
about his
all-time
game
hit.
that I'm seeing right now is that like he's very unselfish and you know makes the great passes.
Oh yes.
And
Now
is
we've
going to
come
be a great
play.
three-point shooter. I think that's
Getting
something the
stronger,
Nuggets
watch
definitely
this.
need if Gary Harris is not going to step up.
You like that? And
Do
Campazzo
like
just
that shot. I mean,
finishing it.
this guy, I should say, maybe not his kid anymore, but he looks really good, man.
Nicholas Brasino. Brasino for three. Count it. Shot 55% from beyond the arc, so that's certainly something that Nigeria will have to be wary of today. I'm sure Coach Nuwara has instructed his team.
I mean,
No
how
one's gonna
tall
stop
is he?
him if he gets that close to the hoop. Great move.
Campazzo, what a pass.
Yeah, looks like a really good player, man. I mean, we're going to watch a little bit
to
more
Louis
of him,
Scola.
but I do like his
Great defense again from
I do like his
but it
game.
finds its way through to Scola. Campazzo, extra pass. Brasino, a second three for Nicholas Brasino. To try and spin a web. Campazzo, beautiful pass to Delia.
Seems like
Stripped
Campazzo
out of
really
his
has like
hands by
the
Stan
knack for
Coyne.
like making good
Campazzo now.
passes.
Campazzo throws
Really
it back
gets guys
outside
off
to
guard. He looks like
Gabriel
he's like
Deck, who knocks
5'11",
down another.
maybe less
Having
than that.
enough elevation on that.
But obviously size doesn't matter as
shot
long
off
as,
the
like I said,
glass.
as long as you can
Great
shoot, as long as you can
pass.
pass
Scola with
really
the
well,
two.
that's what people are looking for. The
wide
only issue
open
for
up the
him
knee.
is just probably his size.
Well, the
Like
second
defensively,
half has
he's probably
started
going to
very
be
much as we left it
a liability,
after the
but as long
first
as he
half
like
as
offensively can do the things that he
Now
does,
comes to the
I
pass.
think the Denver Nuggets obviously got a really good player in that fact. I mean, good passing.
Provitola.
Definitely someone that I could potentially see as a really good player in this league. So I think that looks like it's going to be a great pickup for you guys, Bolty. I think it's a nice it looks like it's a nice pickup. But at the end of the day, the Lakers are still going to reign supreme. I think the Lakers have just the best ability. It seems like they just don't have a hole in their team at all. So, I mean, like I said, this is going to be a fun and interesting situation to kind of talk about as we continue to discuss and look at different players. Like I said, I would love to look at more players. Like I said, I think the next thing I want to look at is kind of Chet Holmgren versus Amani Bates. That's kind of going to be my next watch. But Bolty, I do like that player a lot. I think what's his name, Campazzo.
Wide open three. And a big three. 4 minutes to go in this third quarter. The lead is 6 for Argentina. Finds its way out to Campazzo, just about.
Campazzo, like that's a good three, man. Let's kind of watch the Amani Bates Chet Holmgren show. Not sure how long we have. Like I've watched a little bit of it, but I would love to watch like the whole game. I don't want to watch like.
Can't do. Tonight, Amani Bates leads.
We got 2 5-stars. We got undeclared, and we got a guy from Michigan State.
Prep
Let's
and
watch
White.
this a little bit.
What more do you need to see? The two number one guys.
We'll mute it so we don't get copyright stricken. Yeah, but I mean, the thing with Gary Harris is that, like, even though he was injured, he still didn't really add much value to the team, in my opinion. I think that he's kind of he was just a liability last year against the Lakers, and you just can't afford to have that when it comes to, that was a bad take by Chet Holmgren right there. Let's see if we can up the quality here. This is 1080. Doesn't look 1080 to me. But yeah, I think that, like, the injury is kind of the worrying thing about him, is that, like, you know, he needs to do a better job of it, because it is frustrating to watch. See, right there, could have gotten a rebound. Good job by Amani Bates to kind of be alert. That's a bad side court three. See here, good finish. Yeah. Let's see here. I guess we can put the sound on. It's a stream, I guess.
Donovan Smith, he's 0 for 2 from deep. Bates, the run out,
The one
and
thing I
the
hate about these
throwdown.
games is
You
that
get your first
you
look
already have
at
your guy
a
leaking out. and
Amani Bates rack
Not
attack right
not
there.
discrediting
Well,
Money
that is
Bates.
the
It's a great leak
athleticism
out
we
to
talked
his dunk,
about.
But
Thanks, Matt. The fun continues here in Ann Arbor. The two best prospects of the sport right now squaring off. #1 senior Chet Holmgren in the class of 2021 against the #1 junior Amani Bates. They'll try another alley-oop, but he kept it on the ground.
good block.
Holmgren, a great block there. Running the floor in open space, and Team
finish.
Sizzle.
Let's see
Still
here.
continuing to
Kind of
get
watch a little
better
bit of this, and
every
then
step
you know
along
I'll
the
probably
process.
dedicate the stream
Here's
to this.
Bates,
Good
pulls
shot.
the trigger from deep. It hits.
Looks like the jumper already looks really good. I mean, shooting from college
There.
3
Even though
already,
it was a
that's a
turnover, shows
tremendous thing
signs
for
of
him.
his unique skill set.
Pushing in transition.
Probably could have done a better job there in the block. I think Chet Holmgren needs to get a little bit stronger. I think both Amani and Chet have to get stronger. They don't look like they don't necessarily look like the strongest players in the world. Not saying that you have to be like buff and built to play in the NBA, but you definitely have to have size, especially because you don't want to get pushed around. That's a lazy rebound. May have gone to block there, but again, this is just like, let's go back to that play again. Like,
the shot blocked by
not that one. I mean, let's go back to the original because obviously they got a second chance rebound out of that. I mean, really, you know, really should be blocking out in that, in my opinion. Instead, gives up an opportunity for this guy to go. Obviously, blocks it again because he's so long and tall. But it's still kind of frustrating to see that that's the case. I mean, you know, gets a 3 off.
Leads the 3. Donovan Smith, his first triple of the night. Both these teams finding their offensive flow.
And Bolty, you talked about. I feel like when the Chips,
does
2022,
a
when
great
RJ
job
might
of
be
spacing the
lead.
floor, being in the right spots, and then knocking down
Yeah, I mean,
open
like
shots.
that could definitely be the case. I'm interested to see like what happens in that aspect. If you're gonna get like a really good player out of, if you're gonna get a good player out of RJ Hampton, but also MJP, if he's gonna kind of grow and develop and kind of get to a higher level, it's gonna be interesting to find out if he has that ability to. Because I think right now he's a good player, but just he kind of just gives Kuzma vibes to me. But I mean, hopefully he can be a better developed Kuzma.
Trying to grab his own rebound, but Donovan Smith there to corral it. Here's Holmgren. All the way for a
lazy
man's
defense on the other
jam.
end.
Chet Holmgren. Inside to Sean Phillips. That's a mismatch, and somehow Holmgren stole it away from him. He's doing everything right now, including a quarterback throw.
He needs to definitely work. I mean, that and like this pass in college is not going to work. I mean, he's definitely going to have to get into the weight room because that is just a lame duck pass. I mean, look at this. You either lead your man
now, including a
or you just don't throw it. And the problem is, like, luckily they were able to come up with it, but still, in college you're not going to get away with that, especially because you're going against superstar players, or like, you know, college athletes at this point. You're not going against like, you know, guys from, you know, lower division that don't necessarily can play the sport. I mean, that's a bad pass on his part. I mean, again, a nice, you know, good finish by Amani Bates. It's just, again, like, not necessarily a fan of what's going on with these highlights. I mean, Chet Holmgren looks like he could be a good player, but a little disappointing in his motor right now. It doesn't look like he has a really high motor. I mean, this might be just one game, and I might be completely off on Chet Holmgren, but I just don't think that the motor is there, in my opinion.
Bates still fighting for it. I'll tell you what, Adam, you would not know this is an exhibition between these two because they've been going.
I mean, I agree with you, Bolty. I think that, you know, his frame not only scares me, but his ability, like, because we've seen players with his frame at a center position. Like, it's just, it doesn't pan out in the NBA. I mean, unless you can shoot the rock. But defensively, you know, you expect your guy to get, like, look at this. How is this guy, like, I understand he's a little bit bigger than him, but, like, they're basically skinny players. And look at this guy. Basically pushes Chet Holmgren out the way. And it's just kind of like nothing happens in this moment. So I'm a little worried that he's just not strong enough to like box out the bigger guys, and if he, you know, especially playing the center position, if you have to box out, then it's just going to be one of those things where it's like, all right, I mean, you're gonna definitely struggle a bit.
Bates already with 9, takes it all the way off the window and in to tie this game.
But let's see, you know,
at 18.
Amani Bates looks like the real deal, man. You know, get him some workouts in.
To him in a mentality
that complements the obvious.
Bad pass right there. Like, I'm not impressed with Chet right now. I think I'll have to watch more of his highlight tape or like more of his full games, because right now I'm not necessarily a fan of what is going on from Chet Holmgren at this point.
Super teams forming in the NBA, but then sometimes you see these high volume guys that other players aren't.
Definitely not a fan at this point.
That is not the case with the two guys you're watching here today.
Hey, Yoy, how you doing, man? It's been a minute. Hopefully you're doing well out there, man. But let's kind of look at more highlight. I think Amani just has more of a ceiling than Chet at this point.
Every time Bates touches the ball. Swing to Hannah, can't connect on the three. Holmgren pulls.
Like, the thing that I like about Holmgren is that he, like, his guard up. Like, I mean, even his handles, you know, he's got to work on. It's just, he's just very lengthy. I think he's still like a raw prospect at this point of his career. So I would love to see, like, if Gonzaga or whatever school he goes to can really develop.
One of those categories, most recently in all three.
Like how he develops and grows. I think he could be a good player, depending on what team he goes to, like I said. But I think that he's still really raw and still has a lot of potential to grow in this league. Whether he stays in college, whether he goes to Euro basketball, whatever he decides to do, I think he definitely needs to grow and develop.
Beat on inside.
You know, definitely, like,
look at his handle coming around, and then the spin.
Good finish and spin.
At 7-1 is off the chart.
But he still has a lot of room to develop and grow. I still think that, you know, Amani Bates out of the two of them is really good. I would love to see them guard one another.
Trying to drive. I think that's going to stay Ipsy prep ball.
Whatever that is. So learning to pick your spots and be efficient without total freedom is part of the.
You think that Chet has a higher ceiling than Amani Bates at this point? Like,
tonight, the spin and then the finish to fire Team Sizzle back in front.
Yeah, I think everybody does need internet at this point. I actually had to upgrade my cable plan or my internet plan because we were like capped at like. Oh yeah, Eoy, what do you make of Patrick Williams? Are you a big fan of the Patrick Williams hype, or are you kind of about Patrick Williams? I think he is a very interesting prospect. I think that I don't know if you guys necessarily overpaid or like overdrafted him, but I'd like to know your opinion on that. And yeah, I was talking about the cable. Like we had to kind of pay an extra like $30 to get unlimited data and not get capped at the 1.2 terabytes just because of the new systems. And they're just so. It seems like they just take up so much bandwidth and take up so much data. It's annoying.
Coach yell out last
continue
shot.
Looking
here.
Here.
They're going to play through the big fella in the middle of the floor. Here comes the spin.
Holmgren working on Bates. One-on-one. The two top prospects in the entire country. And Holmgren gets the better of Bates. And
was his mentality and his toughness. So the skill set we talked about, the defensive ability we've talked about, but the toughness is so impressive because even when he's giving up 70 pounds, he backs down from no one. He's got an edge to him that you really can't teach. It's something that just comes naturally to him.
Isaiah Davis cashes in on the offensive rebound. Holmgren altered the shot, did it again, now battling for the board.
Even your man wide open on the offensive glass. Now, Sean Phillips didn't finish it that time, but that's one of the nuances of being an elite rim protector that he's going to have to learn to weigh instinctively at the next level, when to commit and when to stay at home.
19 points for Amani Bates now after he buried that three. A deep three, and the answer comes from Donovan Smith.
Team Sizzle's Trae Young, says Chet Holmgren. Well, Donovan Smith living up to it on that pull-up three.
Bates back the other way. He's got it.
Bates looks really good, man. I don't know. I think Bates has both a higher floor and ceiling at this point.
Crossing over his man to knock that one down. You know many 16-year-old teenagers who can make that shot? Because I sure as heck don't.
Back-to-back threes for Amani Bates.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. Like, I want to be like clear. Like, I think Patrick Williams is like he's not a bad player, but I mean, if he develops into Kawhi Leonard, I think that's more power to you. But I think that you guys still need a guard, man. Like, I'm not a big fan of Kobe White. I think he's more of a scoring guard, and you already. Dunn is already out of there. It's like, who's going to be your point guard now? It's just I'm not really sure at this point. Anyway.
Number one player in the junior class, up to 23 points. His counterpoint part right here, Chet Holmgren. He's the number one player in the senior class.
I think Halliburton would have been a great pickup for you. You know, you have a 6'5" guy with already like a more than 6'8" wingspan, and then you have Zach LaVine, who's also another guard. Like, I think that would have been a better pickup for you guys. But at the end of the day, I think you guys.
Dylan Hunter met at the rim. in the cylinder, though. Goaltending is the call.
But yeah, I mean,
A
this is
little
going to be an
late to
interesting,
that one.
interesting thing to
Devil's
see
advocate
from
would say, well, he's 7'1",
see like how
and he's playing high school
Chet
basketball.
develops
Shouldn't
and how
he
all these
dominate?
other
How are
players
you so
develop. You know,
sure that
Patrick
he can
Williams obviously
translate it to college in the NBA?
got himself
you're
to where
never
he's at
sure. When
today.
you're projecting a
So
future
we'll
market
see. I
like
mean,
we are
like if he
anytime
develops
we're
into Kawhi
assessing
Leonard,
the
that actually
future,
be
there is
that'd be
no
fun to
such
watch.
thing as certainty. If there was, we'd never be wrong. But I'll tell you what, he's got all the markers you look for, as I was saying.
Right on cue, Holmgren. Let the play speak for itself.
Bad
I mean,
defense.
That's all the evidence you need,
Bad
right?
help.
There's not much he hasn't done.
Gets
in
pushed
this
out there
for
and doesn't
itself.
grab the.
I
I mean,
mean,
look at
that's all
this.
the evidence
This
you
is
need,
not
right?
going to cut it in the NBA. This is not even going to cut it in college.
There's
Look at
not-
that. Ball watching. I mean, I understand. You know, time to time players will do it, but like, you know, you're in a tight game at this point in the third quarter. 3:17 left. You're trying to like, you know, command a lead, and meanwhile, instead of kind of get the ball, you're ball
Let the
watching.
play speak for itself.
You know, kind of having the big down low, so it's like
I mean, there's
That's all
doesn't
the
really do
evidence
much.
you
You know,
need,
kind of
right?
watch.
There's not
Doesn't even get
much
the
he
rebound.
hasn't
Gets
done
put. I
in
mean,
this
you
game.
could call
What
that
a
an offensive
complete
foul, or you can call that
performance he
a
is
foul with the
bringing.
push on the other team. But that's still not an impressive thing to
3
see.
minutes to play in this third quarter.
And you know what, Jay? Lots of times, high school games, we'll see the prospects, and they'll show signs of their potential, but they haven't turned it into polished production yet. These two guys are bringing it when the lights are on brightest, and they are playing their best basketball.
Step back three, can't hit it.
I also don't like that Amani Bates got
Holmgren
like
now playing
also
transition. Defense swats it
like
away.
boxed out by the small
help
dude.
defense for
Not saying like the
another
small dude
block.
was in a
And
position.
that
Obviously,
shows
like
you the
Amani Bates is
quickness, too, 'cause
taller, so
Amani went
he'll
to
be
the
able
other
to,
side
you
of the
know,
rim
get the ball over him.
specifically
But I mean,
to
if you're not
try
gonna
and
box
protect
your
the
man
ball
out,
from
like you're
Chet,
gonna
he
get
still got to it.
you can get bullied out the paint. Good shot.
Floater somehow goes down for Amani Bates.
And that's a big-time play there. Attacking the closeout, and again with the body control, while he's falling out of bounds, to be able to put that kind of touch on the ball and knock that one down, it's a big-time shot.
Staying with it, Hersey
Hey.
Miller, the third attempt goes
Talk
down.
that talk.
Found himself more open than he expected to be.
Yeah, I mean, Bolte, let's kind of, I mean, that's, you know, we'll kind of stop here with Amani Bates and Chet Holmgren, because I think I've seen enough from this game to kind of say my opinions on both these players. Obviously, you can tell by my reaction, I'm more of an Amani Bates fan. But the Pistons did have a weird offseason. You know, they kind of went in a different direction. I believe they took Killian Hayes, if I'm not mistaken, who, you know, might have the potential to grow and develop and be some amazing player like D'Angelo Russell. But I'm just not convinced about that. And we'll see what happens, man. Like, I really, you know, Derrick Rose is going to probably mentor him at this point. You know, Blake Griffin's still on the team. I think they need to get rid of Blake Griffin. Obviously, to be honest with you, I've never been a Blake Griffin fan. I think he's kind of been too much about himself. Really doesn't seem like he wants to be a basketball player. Wants to seem more like a comedian at this point. So I want to see Blake Griffin to grow and develop and like become this player that I thought he could have been, or that I think a lot of people wanted him to be. But unfortunately, he just didn't end up being like that player. He just ended up being a player that a lot of teams are just kind of on. And it's just like, I think Blake Griffin needs to do a more better job, or like they need to grow and develop more. It's just like, it's disheartening to see that, you know, Blake Griffin had so much potential in the world and just didn't live up to it. So we'll see what happens, but I would be curious to know what happens with the Detroit Pistons and Killian Hayes. Like, will he grow and develop to be that player that everyone thinks he can be? Or will we see the Pistons kind of wither away another pick and should have taken Halliburton at this point? I'm a big fan of Halliburton. I know he has a funky shot. I know it's like it's a weird looking one, but I still think it's effective. I still think it goes in. And he's a long, lanky guard at 6'5". So I think people are making the mistake by not giving him the ability or not letting him grow and develop and like have him on the team rather than a guy like Killian Hayes. So I think a lot of people are really high on just because he's lefty and just because I think he but the problem with him is that he can only go left at this point of his career. He can't even go right. He can't even go to the right and try and finish. He's more of a left-handed player, like heavy left-handed. And so we'll see what happens if he can grow and develop. Like I said, still needs that time. We'll see what happens. And then let's kind of watch. I just kind of want to watch a little bit more of this game, at least to the end of the third quarter.
What he thought about it.
Bates, good
Bates,
pull up.
pop. hits it. Amani Bates is getting everything he wants right now on the offensive end.
And this is one of the areas in which I think he has a chance to be just as special as other areas, is in the mid-range game. You've seen the floaters. I love the pull-up game.
Holmgren back the other way. Feed inside. Holmgren forcing the fadeaway. That's no good. Akins keeps it alive. Akins.
Again, should have gotten that rebound. Luckily, his guard was there to help him out.
Has it.
Not necessarily a fan of that he couldn't get the rebound at that point.
Possession there.
Guess that guy's was Trae Young. So we'll watch the last 11 seconds, and then we'll kind of we'll probably wrap things up, unless there's some news that I don't know about. That was a great shot. Let's see if there's any other NBA news coming out of Twitter. Let's see free agency. Let's see if there's any other news and rumors. Joe Harris, yep. Let's see here. Sham. See if there's any Sham news. Yeah, I mean, there's not really much news, so I think that's going to do it for us, guys. I mean, I'm sorry that this was kind of a shorter stream. I mean, 2 hours isn't really short for me, but I know for a lot of you it's probably shorter. But I want to thank you guys once again for joining me here on the channel. Bolty, Eoy, LA Lakers champion, 2020 champions. Sean, Tyrese, I don't know where you're at right now, but hopefully you're doing all right. And many other, Supreme Gamer, of course. I want to thank you guys once again for joining me here on the channel. It was fun talking some basketball. It was fun talking some free agency stuff. It was fun talking about, checking out guys like Zhang, Fambo. I think that's another amazing player that the Gonzaga Bulldogs got, and we'll see where he goes in terms of growing and developing. But like I said, guys, thank you once again for joining me here on The Charge, bringing you the NBA live stream, news and rumors, and also NBA basketball opinions. And I want to thank you guys again for joining me here on the channel. It sucks that right now we're peaking at 5 and I have to head out of here, but I might be live streaming a little bit later some 2K, but we can talk some hoops as well while I'm playing that game. So like I said, if you guys want to join me later on, I'll probably be doing this sort of like checking out prospects later on in the day and also talking some news and rumors while I play some 2K. So like I said, guys, thank you once again for joining me. We'll catch you on the next live stream, which will probably be a couple hours later down the line. If you're on the West Coast, it might be good for you on the East Coast, maybe not so much. But anyway, guys, like I said, thank you once again for joining, and we'll catch you guys on the next live stream, which will be a little bit later in the day. Peace, guys.